Chuck, what's going on?
Yo, Mike, how you doing, sir? How you doing? Another day, back at it, back at it.
Yes, yes. And today we're talking about local listings, specifically how managing local listings help SEO. It's kind of a buzzword, right? Local SEO, think local, especially within the last, 2 years. Pandemic has made everybody really focus on local. So, it leads right into the opening topic. What is local SEO? So,
Yeah,
how would we describe it to somebody?
well, so I think we can't say local. We can't define local SEO without defining SEO, right?
Right.
Right, because I believe that it's a true component of it. So, local SEO, search engine optimization, is all about literally being found in the search, whether it's a Google search, a Bing search, a Yahoo search, a YouTube search, wherever the search is, you're optimizing for the search engine, right? SEO.
Hmm.
So we talk local SEO, right? Now we're talking about what can we do to be found in the search engine specific to a certain area, specific to
Right.
a certain region, right? And usually that region is near me. That's kind of associated with the search term. That search term was, Honda dealer near me or the closest Nissan dealership, whatever. All of those are local search terms, right? Because they identify a specific locality, and so that's what qualifies it to be local SEO. So I think your question was why, what is it, and why is it important, right?
Right.
Well, it's important. It's important because if you're not properly doing local SEO, then you ruin your chances of ranking and getting traffic from local searches, right? Those
Right.
examples I gave earlier, Nissan dealership near me, or the closest Honda dealership, those are local searches. And if you haven't done proper local SEO, then your Honda dealership or Nissan dealership won't benefit from that type of search, right? So
Right.
so that's why local SEO is so important to your overall kind of SEO campaign for sure.
Well, we can dive in and take a look, in fact, at a couple of examples, right? Because
Okay.
to your point, Google's vicinity update is going to be looking at vicinity. It's looking exactly at what's near, right? And you need to have accurate information across name, address, phone number. So there's
Yep.
consistency across the web. The more consistency, the more people use and engage that listing. Listings with more information gather far more engagement than those without. And
Yep.
again, the more listens you have across the web that are pointing back to your website, that means more opportunities for website traffic, more referring domains, and just more general social proof.
Exactly.
So
So let's
diving
define
into,
listings as well. As you dive in, go ahead. But
yeah,
as you pull that up, and we talk about listings, those listings are important to have a name, address, and phone. But one of the reasons local listings are so important, and we're using Google for this example, right? But some people may be using Bing, right, which has its own separate listing from Google. Some people may be using Apple, which has its own separate listing from Google. Some people may be using a totally different platform, right? And
right.
so you want to make sure that when Mike talks about having listings, you want to make sure that you have all of these listings correct with the same name, with the same address, with the same phone, because all of these listings will provide a kind of local map experience similar to what you're showing here, right? We're just
Yep.
looking at the Google listing now.
Right. So if we type in best Honda dealership near me,
Mm-hmm.
first three are going to be some ads. So we got some
Yep.
PPC, some Google ads up here at the top. Then we've got our map pack, right?
Yep.
And I think it's
Our local
important to
listings.
note. I think it's important to note that if you use the word best with your search term, the result's going to show only 4 stars or higher, right? So that also shows the importance of being on top of your reviews, making sure
Yep.
that you have access to your Google business profile so that
That's the
you can
importance
manage those
of
reviews.
reputation management, right? Could be a
Yeah.
whole nother discussion, right? Maybe we'll do
Mhm.
another video about that. But yeah, if you want to rank for best, you want to rank for the top 10, you want to rank for those type of searches, and then your reputation on your online reputation, yeah, must be managed. But yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
This top three listings, right? This local pack is definitely showing here because of their Gilman Honda cars of Katie and Russell Smith Honda are managing their local SEO, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's why they're here.
Yep. And I think it's also important to note that if you were to use, a Google Home or Alexa, Echo Dot, if
Mm-hmm.
you're Siri, hey, where is the best Honda dealership near me? These are the ones that are going to show up
That's they're
first,
gonna.
right? And
Oh, so
it's
it's a good point. Now go
and
ahead.
not it's looking at the vicinity first and foremost, but it's also kind of that FAQ formatting, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
we look at yet another example of a what of that FAQ, those featured snippets, right? These are the kind of things that will pick up for voice search. So here's an example that's not necessarily location based, but it does demonstrate that, question, what is the range on a 2022 RAV4 hybrid? Right here,
Yep.
we've got our featured snippets. This is where it's talking about, hey, the plug-in hybrid RAV4 stores electrons in an 18.1 kilowatt battery pack, EPA rates its driving range at about 42 miles. And
Mm-hmm.
below there, you'll see people also ask, how many miles does it go on a full tank, right?
Thank you.
How far can a RAV4 hybrid go on battery? So the reason I bring these up is those are the kind of things that are going to be showing on a voice or heard on
On
a
a
voice
local
search,
search.
right?
To be shown on a local search and heard on the voice search. And it's a lot of information there. Go back to that page. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about local listings management, right? With the question was how do local listings help local SEO, right? Right. How is this working? Well, when you effectively manage your local listings, then your site and the content that you create has the a better chance of being shown in an area like this on the search results page. One of the things that I love that Google My Business offers, for example, is the posting, right? And so if you were a Toyota dealership and you sold RAV4s, right, or Honda dealership, yeah, if you sold RAV4s, you could literally answer these questions in your listing. You could answer how many miles can a RAV4 hybrid go? How far you could answer those questions in your Google My Business posts, right? That's your local SEO management tool for Google and have a higher likelihood of your content being shown here, right? And so I think that when you want to rank locally for SEO, then it's important to manage those listings. What you just showed here is another reason why those listings should be managed. And then if you go back to the map one, you said something earlier. You mentioned that when people could be searching, if they were searching Google Home, then these top three results would show, right? But that's because this is the Google result. But if they were searching Siri, right? Siri is
Apple,
going to use Apple, right? Siri is going to
right?
use Apple,
Apple
and so
Maps.
that's just
Mm-hmm.
exactly it's going to default there. And so you want to just be using Alexa. Amazon is going to default to Google, depending on your setting. You could set that
Right.
to Google, you could set that to Bing, you could set that to what you want to do. And so the way you make sure you cover all those bases is by managing your local listings. If you manage all your local listings, then you don't have to worry about your Google page being updated, but you drop the ball on Apple, you drop the ball in all these
Right.
other areas, right? Or vice versa. And so it's important. It's
Well,
extremely important.
certainly important. And to your point, there's diversity, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Google business profile, that's going to be the primary driver of organic traffic of all the listings. But there's still Apple, Bing Maps.
Hmm.
People might still be using MapQuest in certain markets, Yelp. It's all very contingent on where the market is,
Waze
what their
is a
behaviors
growing in
are.
this industry.
Ways, yes,
Hmm. And so,
absolutely. And to your point with, modifying not only the posting capabilities across some of these listing sites, but each one will have areas for additional information,
yep.
products or services or service areas that are offered. If there are
Hmm.
specific neighborhoods within a city that are popular, Sugarland, Missouri City, parts of Houston,
Yep.
right? So these are neighborhoods you want to make sure you mention in there. And you can modify some of your descriptions and kind of link your keywords, your keyword strategy that you have for on-site content to align with what you have on your listing. So again, service areas, maybe specific vehicles, new or used preference, any kind of service related terms. This is all information that you can include in your local listings, not only for overall keywords and getting some recognition there, but if somebody is asking one of those who, what, when, where, why, how questions of their voice search, of their voice assistant, you know that you're going to show, right? Because you have the answer to the question.
Is literally programmed to look there for the answer, right?
Right.
It's programmed to look for those fields, those services, those products, those categories, those hours of operation, there's parking, yes or no, all of the details you filled out on your GMB profile. Yeah, Google Home is designed to search there first, right, to answer the question. And so I think that it's important that we keep that in mind. I came across some kind of cool stats in kind of preparing for this.
You did, yeah. So let's dive into those.
So when we talk, we spoke about a lot about virtual assistants and voice search, right, and how important managing local listings is, right, to managing local SEO and voice search, right? The kind of combination of all three. You got local listings that we know help local SEO, and we're adding voice search because it's just a growing trend. We talked about Google Home, we talked about Siri. Those are ways that people complete voice searches, usually at home, right? But all of us complete voice searches from our phone while we're out mobile, right? Matter of fact, they say, according to Review 42, mobile users are 3 times more likely to use voice search, right? And so we talk about 3 times more likely, right? So and it makes sense. If you're driving, if you're just not in a position to type, you're definitely in a position to ask a question, right? And because the way technology leads, if it's a local search, that question usually leads to the next action, which is get directions, right?
Yeah, right there.
Or call right there, exactly. So if you're mobile and you're moving around, yeah, it makes sense that you'll use voice search. Bright Local, right? Shout out to Bright Local. We're talking about local listing management. They came out and said that 76% of smart speaker owners use a local voice search at least once a week, right? So 3 out of 4 people who actually own a smart speaker are going to do a search that's local intent based at least once a week, right? So when we think about the potential person who's car shopping, right? They're looking for electric vehicles, kind of example we gave earlier. It's a chance that search could happen on a smart speaker, right? And so you want to make sure that you've optimized this content, you've done enough local SEO to let them know that you are the best Honda dealership right here, that you are the nearest electric vehicle dealership, near me, whatever their search was. And the last that I just thought was interesting came from social media today. They said that men account for more monthly voice searches than women. Men account for more monthly voice searches than women. I don't know if we're just lazy. I don't know why. but we search more across the board, whether it's smartphone, whether it's tablet, or even smart speaker, right? And so, so I think the trend is that voice search is increasing, right? And when we speak to people who are in the car buying market or the dealership in general market, then it's important to note that clients, potential customers, people researching vehicles, people who are teetering on what type of vehicle to get, they're doing all that research, definitely with local SEO, and a lot of it's happening vocally.
Yeah, and a lot, those go hand in hand, right? 3 out of 4 using a local voice search once a week, 3 times more likely to have a voice search from mobile. We know that mobile is and always is the trend, right? It's all moving more towards that. So we've demonstrated why, right, that you need local listings. We want to talk briefly about how you manage those local listings. So you're thinking Google Business Profile, Apple Maps, Yelp, Yellow Pages, MapQuest, Waze. I mean, there's thousands, hundreds, right?
It's
City
crazy.
Search, MapQuest, any and all of those. If you were to go in and manually update each one, right? you'd have to create a login and a password, and you have to remember to track down that login and password that you could have maybe set up years ago and you lost it, right? So manually you're thinking, gee, how do I stay on top of all this? Well, the good news is there are automated tools, and we use one of them to go in and not only scan to identify maybe some gaps, identify some issues on the web, but also to address them. So I think kind of the last thing I want to kind of get into is, there are a lot of listings, a lot of online directories to manage. So if you were having to go in and manually do all that, you could just lose yourself, right? Because I mean, the amount of time you'd have to go in and do. But
Well, and
we
then
have the tool.
consider who we're talking to as well, right? Let's say you're a decent sized Toyota dealership, a Honda dealership, a Nissan dealership, and you have new sales, used sales, and service, right? Which technically could be at 3 different addresses, right?
Yeah.
Usually same block, but you could have 3 Google My Business pages for use, for service, and for new, right? And so just so in the vein of what you're saying, it's not one listing, it'd be 3
Right.
if you're doing it right. And so you want to make sure that you're not dropping any balls. And that's the
Yeah.
value. That's the value of automating the process. Right? That's the value of automating the process is that not only you had those 3 across Google, but you take those same 3 across Yelp. You take those same 3 across Apple. You take those same
Yeah.
3 across Bing. And so it's not 3 listings you're managing. It's 20 listings you're managing, right? and all of these listings need to have the same exact name, address, phone, list of services, hours of operation, payment types accepted, parking available. Is there an electric charging station on site? So it's like, are you going to answer all of these questions on every listing?
Right.
This way to do that is going to be automated. And
Yep.
that's what's really cool about fast listing.
So with that, you can go in and check your listings. First of all, a couple reasons why you want to do this. We talked about the benefits and really the need of strong local SEO and part of your overall SEO strategy. It helps you dominate your local search. It's going to drive more traffic and drive more customers to your website and ultimately your business. Because to your point, a lot of people are getting directions straight to your business. The beauty of this too is that results will come in within about 3 days or less. So you sign up, you update your information, and then boom, those updates are pushing via API across the web to all those different hundreds of different local listings. So if you want to identify
highlight
where
a
you're
problem
at,
that this solves for a dealership real quick. If you're a dealership, right, let's say you're getting calls to your service department, but these calls should be being routed to you, it's because the number is wrong somewhere, right?
yeah,
When people did a search and they found this number because random users can create the listing for you if there isn't a listing there, right?
yep,
And so there may be a random number on Apple that's different from the number that was on Google because
that is
somebody
true.
did that, right? And
Right.
you're wondering why you always have to keep transferring calls or doing this. Managing these listings here, this report, once you fill it out, you put in your information, the report is going to tell you that that you probably fall under one of these stats, unfortunately, right?
Oh
That
yeah.
you have an incorrect name, that you have a bad phone number. 18% of people have a bad phone number there. It's because of one of those reasons, right? And so it's important that those listings are correct.
And I think what you said right here, that's one of the big things. Having this service also locks in and gives you control over your listing. So, anytime somebody goes in and recommends or suggests, hey, this, that, or the other, you're going to have the ultimate vetting process of saying, okay, yeah, that is actually an accurate suggestion. We'll take it. Or if it's something that seems irrelevant or in some cases maybe malicious, then you can immediately, nip that in the bud. So, I guess we're going to kind of draw this into a call to action, right? We have the fast listing site, or the fast listing page is up on our site now, right? fzautomotive.com/scan. Go there, you enter in your business's name, address, phone number, and then if you put your name and your contact email, you'll get that listing scan result directly sent to you. And there will be an option to fix the listings, add, subscribe to fast listings and address all their those gaps right then and there. But ultimately the big thing here is just us sharing some updates, right? Talking SEO trends, talking the importance of local SEO and why managing local listings and local directories plays such a big part in SEO overall.
Definitely, especially if you're a local business, right? This may not apply if you're virtual or you provide a service that's not restricted to a certain area. But if you're a dealership, right, that you're counting on the people in a certain radius, local SEO and managing those listings is the utmost important, for sure.
So again, you guys know where to go, fcaautomotive.com/scan. Be sure to follow us on social media at FCA Digital for digital updates, at FC Automotive for everything related to the auto industry and websites overall. Tune in because we're going to put out more and more videos of these as we do every month. And let us know if you all have any questions, anything you want us to dive into. Be sure to comment at us, and we'll make sure we address that with some video. So, Chuck, until next time, good chat.
Peace.